People. Microphone check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2 1 2 1 2. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the live video. Welcome to the live video. I appreciate you all. I appreciate every single one of you for joining me today. Hit the like, hit the share button, hit the follow button. As always, hit the share, like, and follow button. Hit the share, follow button. Thank you so much. And hit up the Cash App, Old Man Labor. If you appreciate the channel, I appreciate you all. Old Man Labor. Hit up the Cash App so I can keep bringing you this programming. And as you know, I'm fighting the establishment, fighting the Democrats, fighting all the people that try to keep us down as workers on a daily basis, right? Because there's a lot of people that try to keep the workers down and keep the workers in the bottom, right? Always trying to keep the workers down. And so I appreciate every single one of you for your time and for your dedication to the broadcast. It's crazy times we're living in. My name is Celso Garcia. On Facebook, YouTube, Substack, Instagram, X, and Twitch. A lot of times when they see my politics and see what I'm talking about, they get upset, and even the algorithm gets upset, right? Even the algorithm gets upset because I'm presenting stuff from experience, from being on the ground, from working for the government, from working for different government agencies in New York State, a Democratic state, and I've seen the corruption and I've seen the bad, even in the Democratic state, right? So that's why I'm an independent, because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen the nonsense. I've seen the bad. I've seen the ugly, but I've also seen the good in people, right? I can't say that every person's bad. I'm saying that the systems that we have in place should be better for workers and for average people to be able to survive, right? To be able to survive. So we're just living in some bizarre, crazy times that we wish the times were better, right? Right? We wish the times were better. And a lot of the stuff that people warned us about, that said, oh, if you support Trump, this is what's going to happen. If you support anyone else, this is what's going to happen. And if you support the big money in politics, the result is that you have a weak opposition and you have weak people that are not willing to enforce the Constitution or fight for the rights of individuals, or if people are weak on the core principles of the Constitution, all of a sudden they're not going to be strong advocates of the First Amendment or any of the amendments or the Bill of Rights, right? Because they were never strong proponents of respecting people's rights, right? So why would they stand there and stand up and fight against Trump if they never were strong advocates of doing the right thing, right? They were never strong advocates of doing the right thing. So now all of a sudden they're going to start being strong advocates. And so that's a big reason why I support Hassan Piker, right? Everyone, we need some to raise some funds, right? For the GoFundMe. I'm gonna be doing this all month. I have an appeal that I have to put in court. I'm fighting for workers, and I'm also fighting for my job back. After 2 years, I've been fighting the powers to be. They have buildings of lawyers, and all I have is myself and my family, and the truth, right? Being able to speak the truth, which oftentimes gets me in trouble because not everyone wants to hear the truth, right? Not everyone is committed to the truth. Not everyone cares about what's happening. So Donald Trump today did something that a lot of people should be upset about, right? A lot of people should be upset. He proposed his executive budget with a huge increase in the military budget. And then yesterday he had a private meeting, and he said in his private meeting that we don't have money to be paying for Medicaid or Medicare or any individual programs or safety net programs, including affordable daycare. He's saying he's going to leave it up to the states to take care of any of these programs because they can't afford it, because the military, we're busy fighting wars, and all the money and resources of the country should be put into fighting the Iran war, right? So remember when Trump said that he would never touch the Medicare and Medicaid, and a lot of people said, oh, you're exaggerating, right? I spoke to a lot of people, and they said, oh, you're exaggerating. That's not true. Trump would never touch the military. He would never send the military into Iran. He would never put us in harm's way. He wouldn't start any new wars. And he wouldn't touch Medicaid, Medicare. He wouldn't touch these third rail programs that were considered third rail programs. In other words, if you touch them, you get electrified and you will lose your political grounding, and no one will want you to ever be allowing this, right? If you allow these programs to happen, then you will lose your whole base, right? So now the Republicans are in recess. Trump released his executive budget, and his executive budget is pretty much gutting all the safety net programs: Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, veterans programs. He's even cutting money for veterans, right? And when people say, "Oh no, that has nothing to do with me," he's not touching any of my programs. He's going even after veterans programs that provide housing for veterans, right? There was a group of veterans that were protesting because their emergency funding is being slashed. And a lot of them were protected from eviction. And Trump said that that program wasn't necessary, that it's just a handout, right? So his perspective is totally different. He thinks that there's too many handouts in this country, and he thinks that even veterans shouldn't be getting any of these handouts. And the Democrats' response is weak, it's tepid. I'll play the video of in a few minutes of what Donald Trump said in the private meeting, but it was recorded and it was released. And the White House tried to downplay it, and they try to have it deleted, and they started to tell news outlets not to play it, and to get rid of the footage, but the footage is out there already. It's kind of hard to take it back once you say something in front of a group that you think is private, but you speak the truth because you think you're in a private meeting, but it's being recorded, and then all the news outlets have it because the people are even outraged at what you said, right? The people were even outraged at what he said in the private meeting, right? No one wants their programs being slashed, especially if you're retired, you're elderly. You don't want your programs being slashed or destroyed. You worked a long time. You worked all your life to earn the benefits that you get, and now for somebody to come and just get rid of them because they feel like it or because they want to spend the money on war, that's even more insulting, right? That's even more insulting and makes people upset. And this affects everyone, right? Because he's slashing also public transit funding. He's slashing anything that he sees is not necessary, right? So that I agree with Hassan Piker that we need to have Democrats respond in a stronger manner. They're responding in a very weak way, and it's inexcusable, right?
They don't want someone who is going to actually be a positive example that is going to cause voters to demand more. They don't want someone like Zohran. They don't want 100 Zohrans running and winning, because that would mean all of the other Democrats that are in positions of tremendous power in the National Party, those Democrats are going to have to change their attitude. They're going to have to say no to their corporate sponsors, and they're terrified of that. The perceived incompetence discounts their cynical malice. If you think of this as third way miscalculating, you're mistaken. They know what they're doing. Trump is serving up a clear and popular anti-war pro-social services campaign for Democrats on a silver platter, and they will do anything they can to avoid that. Because no matter how corpo, no matter how centrist Democrats are, they actually do oftentimes present themselves as anti-Trump, right? Or they at least try to find a way to present themselves as anti-Trump. So if Donald Trump is viciously and super vulgar in his imperialism, right? Democrats have to be against that. And therefore, they have to lean into being anti-war. Third Way hates that. They don't want that. They want to make sure that Democrats are still in line with billionaires, in line with corporations. They want to make sure that the Democratic Party and the way that Democrats communicate on these issues do not, stray away or shy away from what they want, which is to keep the...
And you know what Third Way is advocating? Third Way is it's a way that they're advocating for a way of going centrist, that we should be bipartisan. We should work with Republicans. We should work with moderates. They encourage, like what Harris did, of working with Liz Cheney and working with Republicans to try to find a different way of doing things. But if Republicans are allowing budget cuts to safety net programs, then they're not our friends. They're not people that care about the community. So why should we keep supporting these type of programs or these type of people if they don't support us or they're not willing to fight for us, right? They're not willing to fight for the average person. So why should we be nice and play friendly with Republicans that don't have the Americans' best interests? Everyone support the GoFundMe right below. That's the GoFundMe, and also that's the Cash App link. Support the program, and thank you for your support. Thank you for helping me in bringing you this programming on a daily basis. So I agree 100% with Hassan Piker, and that's why they've been attacking him big time, because they want to keep using the same approach. They get their butts kicked, and then they want to keep using the same approach over and over, right? The Democrats want to keep using the same approach. They've been getting their butts kicked for more than a year. They lost the presidential election with the same approach, and now they want to keep using the same approach hoping that if they're quiet enough, the Republicans will get people angered. But now what they're doing is that they're angering their own base, and they're losing the independents that feel like they're not fighting back or standing up for the poor and the working class and the marginalized, right? So that's not going to work. That's not going to function. And they're fighting and coordinating harder against people like Hassan Piker on the left, the fighting for people's rights.
Business as usual, Kamala Harris style politics, right? It's been a failure on the politics front. It's obviously failed twice to Donald Trump, but it's also a failure to the people. And I'm not alone in this. This is something that I keep repeating over and over again. Something that I say all the time is look at the polls, okay? Look at the polls. Look at the way that the Democrats are being perceived right now. Look at the way the Democrats are being perceived right now. It's not popular. Here is Harry Emden talking about congressional Dems numbers with Democrats is atrociously awful, even worse among all voters. Most Dems think the party has the wrong priorities, okay? This is a massive, massive issue. It wouldn't be an issue if the Democrats actually were responsive to the needs of the people, right? And I said, we're here because corpo centrist pro-Israel Dems believe that Trump's unpopularity will be enough to give them marginal electoral victories without having to push for material changes that address the working class needs. People want real fighters. They want real change. This is at the heart of the conversation that we've...
Yeah, so people actually want real fighters, and they want real change. They don't want to just, okay, we're not going to say nothing about what Trump does. We're not going to just sit in the back door, in the back seat, and just watch him drive us, watch him drive us to wherever he wants to take us. And we just sit back, right? And we just sit back and act like it's not a big deal, right? So they're out of their minds, people. They're out of their minds. And this was Chuck Schumer's statement in response to Trump's budget that he just released, right? $1.5 trillion budget. And let's listen to this. New York leader Schumer's statement on Trump's budget is rotten to the core. New York, New York. Today, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer released the following statement on Donald Trump's budget, which outlines massive cuts to energy and housing affordability, education, and other programs that American families rely on every day while exploding defense spending. So he is cutting public transit big time. A budget is like an x-ray. It shows what's really going on inside Donald Trump's budget. It's rotten to the core, and Democrats will make sure it never passes. Trump is already spending massive sums on never-ending wars abroad, and now he's pushing for a record-breaking $1.5 trillion in defense spending while slashing programs that Americans and seniors care about and rely on. His failed policies have sent costs soaring on groceries, gas, housing, healthcare, and more, and now he's making it even harder for American families to get ahead. Trump's budget has one message for the Americans struggling with skyrocketing costs: he doesn't care. Democrats will fight this budget tooth and nail to ensure it never becomes law. If Republicans choose to go along with the budget, they will be like Thelma and Louise and follow Donald Trump's political fortunes off the same cliff. So most people don't know who Thelma and Louise are, right? It's like, this is the references that you gotta make. Come on, put out a video, put out a speech, right? Put out a speech, have a town hall, have town halls to put pressure on Republicans, have town halls in their districts. Do something other than the same thing, other than sitting back and expecting the donors to be, to get angry and push back against Trump, right? By the way, everyone, happy Good Friday. Happy, it's Good Friday. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me on Good Friday. So you can't get upset about when Trump makes these comments, right? Trump makes these comments that can be horrible, but Schumer's comment doesn't really land. It's not a strong comment, right?
Base 44 super agents. The next thing you can't live without.
It's not a strong
No sex.
comment.
Just say hello.
The United States can't take care of.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's hear what he has to say. Right? Donald Trump about the budget.
Daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state.
We can't take care of daycare. You hear that, right? We can't take care of Medicaid. We can't take care of all these other programs.
Take care of daycare, and they should pay for it too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up. But it's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing: military protection. We have to guard the country.
So Trump is saying that he only is going to take care of military protection, and that's all he's going to do. Everyone hit the like button, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. Let's get to these topics deeply and together.
But all these little things, all these little scams that have taken place, you have to let states take care of them, Russell, and you have to do it. Linda McMahon, she's done such a great job. She's moved education back to the states. And you know what? You need congressional approval. I said, don't worry about it, just do it. She did it. They're largely back in the states.
In other words, don't worry about Congress, just do it. You don't have to follow the laws, you don't got to follow the rules. Just do whatever you want and let the states pay for it, right? When a lot of the states are cash strapped, don't have a lot of money, are struggling.
The education bill, where's Linda? She's not here, right? But I'll tell you let her know I said it. She's done it. She's a sleeper. She was such a great person when she was at Small Business Kelly. She did a great job. Before Kelly was doing a fantastic job. But Linda was great. And then I said, don't worry about it. Just move it back. And she's moving it back to the states where it belongs. Education belongs in the state where the parents can help and they love their children, as opposed to some bureaucrat sitting in Washington that doesn't know where Iowa is.
So instead, he's busy attacking people, and he doesn't acknowledge the fact that we're spending so much money on wars and not spending enough money on domestic programs already. Housing is a crisis in the United States. Especially cutting veterans' housing is not a good thing, right? It's not a good look for the Republicans in the midterms. But the thing is that the Democrats have to take advantage of that. If they don't take advantage of this now, not later, now they got to take advantage now and start attacking and put Donald Trump on the offensive, right? Sorry, on the defensive. But he's been on the offensive the whole time. And all they've been doing is sitting back and sitting back and sitting back and right, sitting back And this is all Jeffries has to, how Jeffrey has to, that's the only way Jeffries responds.
The Republicans done effed up, and they know it. We knew it months ago. Republicans have been losing elections, and Democrats have been winning elections since January of.
So this is Jeffrey's response. It's just to post a video. Hakeem Jeffries, the Speaker of the House, his response is laughable, right? Let's see, let me play it.
The Republicans done effed up. Wait. We knew it.
It has music, so I have to mute it because then they're gonna hit me with the copyright thing because of the music. So that they messed up and they know they messed up, and that's, you peeps ain't strong enough. You're on the verge of losing control of the House of Representatives, and so that's all they could do. Send the takeover coming November 2026. That's it? What takeover? What takeover? Pam Bondi is a partisan, petulant, a political hack, and now she's gone. Keep the pressure on every single one of these extremists. So who's going to keep the pressure? So this is all they could do, right? There goes the resistance. The resistance doesn't look so strong, does it? The resistance is weak. And that's the problem we have. That's the problem that we have. That the Democrats are weak. Right? The Democrats are weak, and they try to hide it as much as they can, and it's hard to hide it when you're so weak, right? When you don't really stand on principles, and you're just counting on us, the voters, to do your job, to do your fighting back, to do your bidding for you, right? Everyone hit the like, follow, share button. This will help the broadcast and help the algorithm. I appreciate you all, right? I appreciate you all. And that's part of the federal budget. It's going to be a big fight. But the problem is we can't trust the leadership of the Democratic Party. Jeffries always caves in. Jeffries always caves in. In the end of the day, he finds a way to cave in. So, can we trust the Democratic leadership? Right? Can we trust the leadership? And this is what AOC said about Bondi being fired, right? AOC said, that's nice, still doesn't get her out of testifying to Congress about Epstein. We must also investigate the continued breaking of the law around the DOJ still hiding Epstein files from the public. So, but the thing is that the new person that Todd Blanche, that Trump put in office acting attorney general, says there are no more Epstein files. He said that there are no more Epstein files. So there are no more Epstein files. So Democrats, stop looking for Epstein files because there are none. Right? They said that there are no Epstein files. So let me go back to what Hassan Piker was saying, right? The voice of the left, one of the leading voices on the left. Right? Where are the Democrats? Right?
We've been having for the last week. This is the major issue. People might try to misdirect. People might try to take your attention away. They might claim that it's actually about, anti-Semitism or whatever smear campaign that they're leaning into. But this, keep your eyes on the ball. Okay? This is exactly the problem. The guys that have caused this issue, the people that have taken control over the Democratic Party since the Clinton era, the third way neoliberals, they know that they're losing their grip. They know that they're losing their influencing capabilities, and they're losing a massive vehicle for billionaires and corporate interests to be able to continue manipulating the Democratic Party and using it in whichever way they see fit. And they're desperately swinging wildly, but because of their overall inability to read the room, because of their lack of understanding of where people are right now, they've chosen to do this on the issue of Israel, which is a 90-10 issue. They think they can bully Democrats, and they can bully some Democrats, right? But they think they can bully all Democrats into submission to make the wrong choice.
You might say, okay, well, at least Dems like Democrats. Not the case. Look at this. The majority of Democrats are independents who lean Democrats. Look at this. 55% say no, congressional Democrats do not have the right priorities. And then you just see a minority, 45% of...
And I agree. They don't have the right priorities. They just been in another world. They've been talking about, the Titanic when instead of speaking about the issues that are happening, right? Instead of confronting Trump, they've been talking about things that are totally different and not relevant to the conversation. So pretty much Democrats are out of it, and they don't know how to correct the ship, right? They don't know how to correct the ship. We're heading right towards the glacier, and we don't know how to correct that. We're trying our hardest to steer the ship in the right direction, and they still can't get the ship going in the right direction. Right? I appreciate everyone. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me. And will MAGA loyalists, will they turn on Trump? And today,
The Valley is back.
will they turn on Trump?
We're actually getting married. I love it.
That's the issue. What do you think?
For a wild ride.
Do not talk to me like that.
The Valley, new episodes available. Watch Bravo on Peacock.
Did you see this? The biggest bridge.
And instead, what is the right-wing news media doing? They're trying their hardest to prop Trump up. They're trying their hardest to make Trump look good, right? They're trying their hardest to still keep being the Trump cheerleaders, right? They still insist that they should be Trump's biggest cheerleader.
In Iran has been destroyed by us, by the United States of America. We were trying to be nice about this. We were only going to take out your military, your bad guy.
Supposedly.
As your missiles, your nuclear, but your regime, whatever is left of it, is not cooperating. President Trump laid down this message. We took out the bridge. The biggest bridge in Iran comes tumbling down, never to be used again. Much more to follow. Wow. Talk about it is time for Iran to make a deal before it is too late, and there is nothing left of what could still become a very great country. Talk about leverage. He wants to make a deal. He wants Iran to thrive. So do we. I thought that was necessary.
And then today, Iran down 2 American airplanes and an American helicopter. 3 pilots were reported missing. 1 was recovered, but they're still looking for the other 2 pilots as of this time, 5:27 Eastern Time in New York, right? They're still looking for these pilots. And so you tell me if we're winning. You tell me if you feel like we're winning this war, right? Do you feel like we're winning this war when we're losing so much money and the stock market's plunging as we speak? So who do you agree with? Newsmax, the right wing, or the left wing? Hassan Piker? Or do you believe, or do you agree with the moderate Democrats that we should just wait to the midterms to push back and fight back against what's happening? Or do you think that everything's going well and we should just trust Donald Trump, right? We should just keep trusting him, and one day it'll pay returns. I mean, as of right now, it seems that America is not looking good, right? It is breaking a lot of its promises, and it's showing how weak we are as a country, how our military has fallen off, how we claim to have air superiority, and now it makes you wonder if Donald Trump is telling the truth, or he's lying to us, or what? Who's telling the truth is the question. Because it doesn't seem like we're getting the truth. It doesn't seem like we're being told what the truth is at all. We're just being fed a lot of lies, and that's a sad thing, right? That's a sad thing when we feel like we're being lied to, right? Let me keep listening to the Hassan clip, right? I can only listen to so many right-wing news outlets. It gets nauseating how they just cheer on Trump and make him feel like he's the best thing since sliced bread, that he is doing such a good job, and no one wants to tell him, hey, you made a mistake, you messed up. No one's willing to get him upset or get him angry. And so that's our loss, right? That's our loss, because we should be able to be honest with our leaders, and our leaders can be honest with us and tell us the truth.
Democrats say that congressional Democrats have the right priorities. This to me just jumps out at the screen because it screams primary challenges all over the map, and it says that even if Democrats don't like Donald Trump, they don't like their own party either when it comes.
And that's what it is. They
don't like their own party.
Named for its rocky shores.
That's just a reality, right? They don't like their own party. They don't like Donald Trump.
Massachusetts was a small
they don't like
fishing town in the 1700s.
Anyone, right? They don't like anyone of both parties.
While others packed and processed.
Yeah, as much as we try to say and act like we're good people, we're not, right?
Americans, British, and
we're not.
Colonists and free black populations lived and worked alongside one another.
We're not good, right?
So when the sparks of revolution ignited in 1776, of course,
that's just a reality.
For freedom and for a new nation, the United States of America.
We're not
of the Marblehead Regiment in the American Revolution.
We're not good people when we collide to our own citizens, right?
Unfair taxes were levied against us, and our sons were
We're
often
not good
taken against
people.
their will and forced to serve in the British Navy. Many
There
So-
are primary challenges.
So let's keep listening to Hassan Piker and what he has to say, the voice of the left. And you tell me, who do you agree with, the left or do you agree with the right? Do you want your Medicaid cut? Do you want your Medicaid cut? Do you want Medicaid, Medicare, social programs cut? Okay.
Challenges, right? There
Healthcare.
are primary challenges, many of which I'm backing myself. Many of those primary challenges this community is leaning into. For the longest time, a lot of these liberals would say, oh, you and your community don't vote. That's never been the case, right? We vote. You and your community don't participate in politics. You don't understand how politics works. We do participate in politics. We do understand how politics work. Now that we're actually taking advantage of the instability in an effort to put forward candidates that are more responsive to the needs of the working class, all of a sudden it's a huge deal, right? All of a sudden it's a massive deal. They're freaking the out because they don't want it. They don't want people like Abdul. They don't want people like Shoykot. They don't want people like Claire Valdez. They did not want someone like Ana Lilia Mejia in New Jersey. They don't want Graham Plattner. They don't want these guys that represent a difference of opinion, that want to actually do right by their constituents. They want controllable entities. They don't want Oliver Larkin, for example. They would much rather have someone like Moskowitz occupy that seat, and they're willing to lose elections. The greatest example of this is Zohran Mamdani. We saw how the establishment Democrats reacted to Zohran Mamdani. They tried to get him out when he won the primary. They didn't go, okay, it's time for vote blue no matter who. They actually turned around and tried to unseat him. They put up a right-wing opposition. They used a dynastic name in New York politics like Andrew Cuomo, in spite of the reality that he was a disgraced former governor who had to resign, right? And they were totally fine with doing that because Andrew Cuomo, in spite of his shortcomings, in spite of his awful behavior in office, is a controllable entity. He's not going to the bag up. He's not going to do the right things. Like, think about it. Think about how New Yorkers perceive Zohran Kwame Mamdani right now. Hasn't been that long since he's been mayor, and his popularity's only increased. He's doing a lot. He's being a great mayor, right? First and foremost, I might have my disagreements with him every now and then, but he's just a mayor for New Yorkers, right? He's there for them. What would an Andrew Cuomo race look like? What would an Andrew Cuomo mayoralty look like? Business as usual, right wing, everything sucks. We got to give all the money to the police.
He doesn't care, right? Right?
Would have been devastating. And Democrats prefer that because Democrats don't want to do work. They don't want someone who is going to actually be a
Yeah, they don't want to work hard.
positive example that is going to cause voters to demand more. They don't want someone like Zohran. They don't want 100 Zohrans running and winning, because that would mean all of the other Democrats that are in positions of tremendous power in the National Party, those Democrats are going to have to change their attitude. They're going to have to say no to their corporate sponsors, and they're terrified of that.
The bottom has fallen out. The bottom has fallen out. Minus 4 points. That is Democrats' own net approval of their own congressional leaders. Even Democrats don't like their own leaders when it comes to Congress. And overall, of course, the numbers are just absolutely awful. So Democrat on Democrat crime, absolutely. This to me screams, again, primary challenges across the map. And it screams to me, hey, when it comes to those next leadership elections, maybe something might be cooking.
It also just means we have to maybe look at these midterms differently, because this is a different prism. We haven't seen this type of thing before. We don't know what impact that might have.
That's exactly right.
This is a phenomenal opportunity to make necessary changes in the politics of this country.
Yeah, so we need changes, and a lot of people on the left are really want change. Even the moderates, even the progressives want change, but we want the right type of change. We want corporate money out of politics, right? We want corporate money out of politics, because corporate money is never good in politics, right? Corporate money is never good in politics. It's just something that is contradictory to wanting to achieve real gains for the working class, real gains for the working people, real gains for people that live paycheck to paycheck, or even people that are living a little bit better than paycheck to paycheck. People want to see progress. They don't want to see themselves being in the same position all the time, right? People want to have material gains and actually increase their chances of surviving in these political times and surviving in life.
The Democrats are spectacularly weak, okay? They are the weakest they've ever been at a time when they're supposed to be the strongest they've ever been. Unprecedented unpopularity for the president should yield tremendous popularity for the opposition party, but because they do not play that oppositional role, because they've completely ceded ground, because they're just sitting around and waiting for the Republicans to fail so that they can bring back the harm reduction arguments one more time and remind people that they are not Republicans. After all, they're still marginally better than Republicans after all. That's the argument that they're trying to lean into. Here's the thing. This creates a tremendous opportunity for people like ourselves to run and to also win. Here's Bernie Sanders, obviously, seizing on that opportunity here. Senator Bernie Sanders is endorsing Claire Valdez for New York's 7th Congressional District, an earthquake in the commie corridor. As you guys know, Claire Valdez is a friend of the show. You know, she's part of the DSA slate, and I've already interviewed her. You can go back and watch that interview if you'd like. And, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think her chances are pretty good right now.
Right, and there are a lot of folks who've been looking at the generic congressional ballot and wondering why Democrats don't have a larger lead.
Chaos is everywhere on Earth. The situation is excellent. Chaos is everywhere under the sun. The situation is excellent. Here's what Claire said. 11,200 plus people funded this campaign. No corporate cash, no APAC, no real estate, no AI or crypto. I'm humbled and energized by all of you. Together, we'll prevail on June 23rd and build the movement to take on the oligarchs and deliver the dignity working people deserve. That's what Claire said.
Here's what's coming up tonight on...
Interesting, right? So Claire Valdez is running for Congress, and she's been doing an excellent job, right? She's been doing an excellent job in her campaign, and so have a lot of the DSA slate, and a lot of people like David Orkin, Abir Kawas, Daria Lisa, and there's like a whole slate, right, of people that don't take any corporate money, don't take any type of special interest money, and just fight for the workers and fight for the rights of individuals to live dignified lives, right? And so I would suggest just go to DSA and you'll be able to see all the people that have been endorsed by Democratic Socialists of America, and you'll be able to see the entire slate. And Claire Valdez is one of those people that is doing a good job, right? And a matter of fact, Zohran Mamdani has been campaigning for her in New York City, right? Right? Zohran Mamdani has been campaigning for Claire Valdez. So has Hassan Piker. So many people. Right? Let me look. And she did really good against a corporate Democrat. Right?
To right?
Let's see. Let me see if I can see her page. And so Bernie Sanders endorsed her. Right? Bernie Sanders endorsed her. Bernie Sanders endorsed her. She's running for Congress. And not taking any corporate money. Not taking any PAC money. And so you can support her too, right? She supports the Green New Deal, labor, unions, strong, being a strong Democrat and fighting back, right? Against these huge budget cuts that are coming down the pipeline. And so even Zohran Mandani has been shooting videos for her, right? Let me see if I can pull one up, a video of Zohran with Claire, which is entertaining. Let's see. I'll play just a little bit of the clip.
It is an honor to be here in a district that I hold dear, to endorse a candidate whose clear promises will soon be echoing at doors from Ridgewood to Greenpoint, from Bushwick to Long Island City. The last time that I was here in this park was on election day during the primary, where I spent 3 hours convinced that I was going to lose. To the extent that when I met someone who asked me for a selfie, I told them to get in the car that we had and go and vote. And in that feeling that defeat was a likely possibility, it was something that we dealt with over the course of the campaign. We can see it now. Good afternoon, my friends. It is an honor to be here in a district that I hold dear, to endorse a candidate whose clear promises will soon be echoing at doors from Ridgewood to Greenpoint, from Bushwick to Long Island City. The last time that I was here in this park was on election day during the primary, where I spent 3 hours convinced that I was going to lose. To the extent that when I met someone who asked me for a selfie, I told...
So this is a reality, and now the war has started, right? Trump is trying to cut the safety net. The state of New York is not trying to tax the rich. The city of New York, the speaker, Julie Menin, doesn't want to tax the rich. So now Zohran's getting impatient, and he's like, stop playing. Like, when are you gonna tax the rich? Right? Are you gonna tax the rich, or are you not gonna tax the rich? Right? That's what Zohran is saying. Right? So they're getting really heated with the budget, right? And the deadline passed. April 1st was supposed to be the deadline for New York State budget. For New York State's budget. And Let's play this clip.
We could build a lot more.
The governor's actions
influence New York City.
If we had more tax revenue, we could build a lot more affordable housing.
Why doesn't the governor want to tax the rich?
They don't pay their fair share. We need to improve our...
The governor's actions influence New York City.
If we had more tax revenue, we could build a lot more affordable housing.
Why doesn't the governor want to tax the rich?
They don't pay their fair share. We need to improve our healthcare, education, our crumbling infrastructure. We need to tax the rich so that we can pay for those things. We have the money. We are the richest country in the world.
Do you agree? Should we tax the rich? Right? I mean, why not, right? Why not? They have extra money. The budget cuts are coming down the pipeline from New York State. The New York State budget is running late, right? The New York State budget is running late. So why cut regular people? And what they're proposing instead is providing
Who pays for that? It's you. Who pays for that? It's you.
And so they throw in pennies at regular people, saying they want to pay for transit and give people fair fares cards, right? Right? So she basically wants to pay for programs to give people piecemeal, right? Little pieces of this is it.
That'd be cool if it was.
Which is like, don't fall for it, people. Don't fall for it. You could get way more than what she's offering, right? Whatever Amendment's offering in New York City in the budget, you could get way more. But she just, right? You could get way more than what she's offering. Or people get free buses, supposedly, and free trains.
It's free, at least for college students who are struggling, like me.
I think that's awesome. I think that's a pretty good plan, I think.
So who would be exempt from the $3 fare? to ride the subway or buses? Well, it all depends on your income, from single people making below $24,000 a year to families of four making less than 50 grand a year.
We need to do more to create a New York that is truly affordable.
Students who are struggling, like me.
I think that's awesome. I think that's a pretty good plan, I think.
So who would be exempt from the $3 fare to ride the subway or buses? Well, it all depends on your income, from single people making below $24,000 a year to families of four making less than 50 grand a year.
We need to do more to create a New York that is truly affordable and livable for everyone. We look forward to working with the administration in the months ahead to get that done.
The City Council believes it's tapped into a plan to give free fares to New Yorkers who need it the most.
That'd be cool if it was free, at least for college students who are struggling.
Which is pennies, right? They're throwing pennies at you, and people are falling for the pennies because there's a lot more money that could be thrown their way, right? A lot more money in the budget. But she's offering pennies on the dollar to offer. And you saw the requirements, how much money you have to make. You got to make New York City, somebody making $20,000 is like below minimum wage, right? To qualify for that. If rent is $2,000, $3,000 and up a month, that means you got to be in poverty in order to get free buses or free trains. And most people get rejected. Most people don't qualify. So it's just a gimmick. It's just a way to say, hey, I'm Robin Hood. I'm taking from the poor, from the rich to give to the poor. And then everything else, education, won't be paid for, right? Class sizes won't be reduced. And another thing that Menon is doing is that she's not going to hire city workers. She's going to leave the vacancies open. That means that the regular workers will have to work harder. The city workers will have to work harder because there's going to be a lot of open positions that are not going to be filled. The jobs are not going to be filled. And that's how she plans on paying for most of the programs or most of the budget gap, by not filling the jobs. The same thing that Adams did repeatedly, right? So they'll still keep the jobs as if they're open, and then they don't hire nobody. That's the trick. That's what they're trying to do. And if you fall for the Kool-Aid, you fall for the trap. They're promising you so much, and they're offering you so much, but you're not getting half of the things that they say you're getting, right? It's just a whole gimmick. And so if you want to fall for it, fall for it, but it's not true like what they're offering, right? They're not giving you anything. They're not giving you anything in return. They just want your vote, and that's all. They want your vote.
President Trump's approval numbers are in.
So this is a lot of people have a lot of opinions about Trump, right? Some people like him still. Some people think that things will get better, right? Everyone, thank you for hitting the like, hitting the share button. Hit the follow, share button. You could donate to the program on the Cash App or on the GoFundMe. Trying to pay some legal bills so I could keep fighting for myself, right? And workers. I was organizing opposition within the union. They didn't like it, and I ended up losing my job at work. So this is a good piece, right? The popularity of the whole program, right? Taxing the rich is very popular in New York, across the country, in California, in a lot of states. Taxing the rich is very popular. But some lawmakers still insist that they're not going to tax the rich, right? They refuse to tax the rich. And so how are we going to fill these budget gaps? Tax the rich. Don't do what Trump did, right? Don't give tax breaks to the rich, right? And so now there's a pressure campaign against Menin, which is worth more than $100 million. So she doesn't want to be taxed. So why would she want to be taxed? That's the thing about rich people. They don't want to pay their taxes, their fair share of taxes. They don't ever want to pay their fair share of taxes. Why? They're super rich. They don't want to give up their money. They like seeing those zeros. But if you have $100 million, let's say you're 70 years old, are you going to be able to spend $100 million in your lifetime? I mean, think about it. Even if you spend $1 million per year for the next 50 years, which you're not going to live 50 years, you still won't be able to deplete your assets, right? So, let me see. That's Menin. She has a lot of money, but refuses to tax the rich in New York City. So we got Menin, we got Governor Hochul, and then we got Zohran Mamdani on one side, trying to tax the rich and facing stiff resistance from the city and from the state. And even worse, from other city council members that should be supporting this, that shouldn't be against him, that should also agree with taxing the rich, right? They're also turning on him because they receive a lot of lobbyist money. They receive so much money from corporate interests. They receive so much money from the rich that they don't care. Let me just cover a little bit, but the algorithm doesn't like it, right? Every time I cover this, the algorithm hates it, and I don't get a lot of views because of it. But screw it. You know what I mean? It's not about views. It's about getting the truth out there. According to DropSite News, in the last 24 hours, U.S. aircraft incidents across the region. One F-15E Strike Eagle fighter bomber down. One pilot rescue, one crew missing. Search continues. Two HH-60W Jolly Green combat rescue helicopters hit by Iran. All crew accounted for. Both landed safely. One A-10 Warthog close air support jet crashed into Persian Gulf. Pilot rescued. Another A-10 aircraft hit. Made emergency landing with one engine disabled. F-16 multi-role fighter declared emergency over Iraq. Landed safely. KC-135 Stratos tanker refueling aircraft declared emergency over Israel. Landed safely. Iran also claimed it struck and downed another U.S. jet near Kish Island yesterday. So these jets are extremely expensive. They cost a lot of money. They're extremely expensive jets, right? So, I mean, we're projecting that we're doing so well, but I don't think it's we're doing as well as we're projecting to be doing, right? We're exaggerating, and Trump keeps saying that we're gonna keep extending the war, and Trump and guess what? They go on recess. They go on recess. Everyone hit the like button, hit the share button. I appreciate all the shares and I appreciate all the likes. I appreciate you all. Thank you for hitting the share and like button. And keep sharing the broadcast. I have to play the Trump clip again. This is classic. Some people say it's a mess up. Some people say he messed up. Right? Yeah, I'm going to close out with this, right? I'm going to close out with this video. And I'll be back on later. I said that yesterday, but I didn't come back on.
That's the sound of an American oil company hard at work.
But I'm going to close out with this video.
Want to be a part of it? Listen up.
Hello. The United States can't...
I got to close out with this video. Right? I got to close out with this video. Because reality check to all the people that say Trump is not going to go after our programs. He's a good man. He doesn't give a crap about you. He's a billionaire. He just cares about his money, the money interest, the rich, and the super rich.
Take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up for, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing, military protection. We have to guard the country. But all these little things, all these little scams that have taken place, you have to let states take care of them, Russell, and you have to do it. Linda McMahon, she's done such a great job. She's moved education back to the states. And you know what? You need congressional approval. I said, don't worry about it, just do it. She did it. They're largely back in the states. We have all these buildings empty, education buildings. Where is Linda? She's not here, right? But I'll tell you, let her know I said it. She's done it. She's a sleeper. She was such a great person when she was at Small Business Kelly. She did a great job. Before Kelly was doing a fantastic job. But Linda was great. And then I said, don't worry about it. Just move it back. And she's moving it back to the states where it belongs. Education belongs in the state, where the parents can help and they love their children, as opposed to some bureaucrat sitting in Washington that doesn't know where Iowa is.
Bizarre.
And you cannot build a sustainable city on one shot, dipping into rainy day funds or inventing new fees.
We are not cutting services. We have said that time and time again.
The city council is not taking the mayor's criticism of their budget math lightly. Local lawmakers shot back at Mayor Zohran Mamdani with their own commentary after he called their $6 billion savings proposal unrealistic. Many took to X using words like disingenuous and deeply misleading to describe Mamdani's pushback at their proposal. Councilwoman Virginia Maloney said, "I know math is hard," in response to the mayor suggesting the council got it wrong. She told New York One the council went
line item by line item to try to identify savings and ensure that we don't do two things. One being raiding the rainy day fund, which really needs to be preserved for emergencies, and two, increase property taxes.
The council's plan, unveiled on Wednesday, is meant to be an alternative to Mamdani's doom and gloom plan that calls for a possible increase on property taxes and pulling millions from the city's savings. Mamdani sees it differently and doubled down on his criticism. He called the plan Speaker Julie Menon's budget proposal.
If her proposal was adopted, it would result in slashing billions of dollars from agency budgets.
and working New Yorkers would pay the price.
City Councilwoman Linda Lee insisted that the vacancy savings identified by the council and disputed by the mayor will not hurt services.
These are not made up numbers. These are numbers that are city full-time employees that were in the budget, and simply what happened was they didn't fill the positions. And so all we're saying simply is just put that back into the budget and recognize that as a revenue.
Mamdani is expected to unveil his executive plan in the coming weeks. Council members insist their financial team did a deep dive into the numbers and have accurately portrayed the city's finances.
They raised some very valid items of savings. And I think we should look into that considerably rather than just reject them as a whole.
There is a budget gap of $5.4 billion City Hall needs to fill in order to present a balanced budget at the end of June.
Let's face it, we're at the 25-yard line, right? This is still early on in the budget process. We have a long way to go.
What we need is just less than 5% of savings. We're not broke. We just need to put our heads together and focus on how to.
But the state is not playing ball. They don't want to tax the rich. The federal government is sending tax huge cuts to programs, so the budget gap might be bigger than what is projected.
Better manage our agencies.
Kelly Mena, New York One.
Thank you for watching.
So, I mean, like, think about it. Think about it. Why should we cave as regular people when the gas prices are high, electric prices are high, everything is out of control, and you telling us we have to make sacrifices, but we haven't. So they always tell us we got to make sacrifices. The regular working people have to make sacrifices, and no one else, right? Right? No one else has to make sacrifices. Let me see. Right? Everyone has to make sacrifices. And no one... So, what happens, even at the federal level, people are stressed, but the workers are stressed. But then you have people like this, exclusive. 30 members of Congress are in Scotland on taxpayers' dime amid the shutdown. Right? April 1st. There's a list of about 30 different congressmen going on a tour of Scotland to learn about Scotland. So while everyone else is on, that's like their little vacation, right? They're on a little vacation, and it's being paid for by the American people. So this is they're on business, being paid while there's a shutdown. While there's a shutdown happening. Right? While there's a shutdown happening. Can you believe it? Can you believe it, people? So TNC so this is what they did. They did a whole project on Let's listen to what they gotta say.
As federal workers suffer has gone international. So we now have pictures of a congressional delegation in Scotland, in Edinburgh, Scotland, at the Edinburgh Castle. One congressman seemed upset enough that we singled him and a couple others out that we could identify, that person told us that it wasn't just us, it was 30 people from Congress. We were on a congressional delegation in Scotland. And the picture we got was them touring a castle. Well, guess who's paying for that? You. You're paying for that trip with 30 members of Congress who didn't do their jobs and left Washington, D.C. without fully funding the Department of Homeland Security, and Coast Guard members, members of FEMA, people who work at TSA still haven't gotten their full back paychecks, but they're off to Scotland, and we're paying for it. But they're not alone. I mean, just a few minutes ago, as I'm talking to you, we got pictures of Senator Cory Booker in Los Angeles at a swanky hotel having breakfast. Apparently, he's here for a book signing in Santa Monica on Friday night. So it looks like he had just worked out. It seems like he's with his wife. They had just worked out and they were chowing down at the London Hotel restaurant in West Hollywood. So we've gotten a lot of people. And the reality is this: people are really, really outraged. There are rumblings now that maybe Congress will cut this 2-week spring break short. We do not know if that's going to happen or not. Maybe they're hearing your anger, maybe not. But whether they come back or not, now Trump is saying,
I don't think they're listening to the anger about that. I don't think they're listening to anyone, right? I don't think they're listening to anyone. They don't care. They do whatever they want to do, right? Congress does whatever they want to do always, right?
Workers suffer has gone international. So we now have pictures of a congressional delegation. TSA still haven't gotten their full TSA in Santa Monica on Friday night. So we've gotten a lot of, not know if that's not now. Trump is saying that he may sign an order to fully fund DHS. So maybe that's an executive order. We don't know. But if it is, it just means that it's an end run around Congress for not doing its job. So Congress has been complaining that the executive branch has been usurping power over the years, not just with Trump, but before that. But what do you expect when you leave Washington and you don't do your job and you vacation? That's why people are angry right now. So I will just say, for our part here at TMZ, we're going to have a full-time presence in Washington, D.C., because this is something we've been talking about anyway, but it feels like the time is right. And so we are going to staff up in D.C. as well. And we're going to do a bunch of things. We will talk about, how politics intersects with pop culture, but we're also going to do serious stories. And we're already getting members of Congress and their staffs contacting us saying, we'd love to work with you and give you stories that you can vet. And we're going to do that. So we're going to join the crowd. But in the meantime, we want photos and videos from wherever you are, whether it's in the United States or beyond. And we want photos of members of Congress showing their vacation during this government shutdown.
Well, workers are not getting paid and they're living large, right? They don't care. Congressional people they don't care. They're living large. There's only very few that do care. Very few that do care about regular people. So there's few that care about regular people. Not all of them care about regular people. That's just in state government, in city government, in federal government. a lot of them are living large, getting everything paid for, getting everything taken care of, and they don't really care about what happens to us. So thank you for joining me. I'll be back on later. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you later on tonight. Happy Good Friday. Thank you.